Everyone wants to feel confident and 100% capable of learning novel things, and yet we seldom allow new pathways of thinking, feeling, and being to lead our experiences. Today's episode of Live Into 5D, NLP Coach, educator, intuitive energy healer Vicchi Oleski remotely travels to Damanhur, Italy, and is joined by special guest Shama Viola. Shama, an Italian-born citizen and now member of the Damanhur community for over 20 years, fully participates, lives, and thrivingly creates in this unique, one-of-a-kind, interesting, social, and spiritual communal adventure. Shama travels extensively all over the world, offering courses, conferences, and presentations. The most important message Shama shares is Damanhur's sacred language of spiritual freedom. Akin to personal agency microdosing, each Live Into 5D weekly episode brings you, the listener, insights that perk your imagination, leading you to breakthrough action. Thank you for coming along with us, and thank you to our guests on today's program. Let's welcome Shama Viola. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Vicchi Oleski. You are listening to Live Into 5D, Waking Up Our Nature from Sonoma County, California. And today's guest is Shama Viola from Damanhur, Italy.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure. And I'm excited about being here and sharing whatever comes spontaneously to be shared with your audience.
Lovely. Well, there is, let's see, you and I have some really great history. You joined us in West County, Sebastopol, California, when we had the Sonoma County Healing Academy. That's when I became familiar with Damanhur and with you. You had a number of classes there. I was magically struck from your presence, your teachings, your program. There's a card deck that I want to talk with you about. But if you could also give us a brief history with Damanhur, because that's quite spectacular of a story.
Yes, actually it is. So Damanhur is a community that has been around for 47 years. It's a unique type of community because it's like a 360 degrees type of community. It's an eco-village, it's in a spiritual community. It has its own political structure. It has its own school. It has very important medical facility that we all use, very specific technology. It's a very interesting and stimulating type of environment. It's been around 47 years, as I said. The founder died about 8 years ago, and we are continuing on the vision that he had. We have an amazing underground temple built by the citizens of Damanhur, underground in a mountain, built inside a mountain. It's been called the eighth wonder of the world, and even the Italian National Art Department, it's allowed it to be visited because they call it a work of living artists. So everybody can come and visit it. Mm-hmm. It's a stunning experience because it's visually incredible, great art, but it's also a powerful place that stimulates and inspires at the spiritual level. It's really a place to connect with the divine in so many different ways and forms. So Damanhur, it's been my home now for 22 years. I've been living here all this time, and we live together in homes. Like in my home, we have a large home, but we are 12 people living together. And so we create these families of, quote, strangers that become your family. I've been living with these people for now a number of years, and it really is an amazing learning on how to respect the differences, how to love people's differences. You appreciate that people's angles of where they're coming from are adding to the whole, so that, again, the stimulus is interesting and exciting. Everybody has their own perspective, and it's enriching instead of you being caught in defending your own position and your own perspective. It really teaches you to enlarge your vision and to make room for so much more than just your own small vision. So community has been for me the avenue of my spiritual growth and evolution. It has taught me a lot. It has taught me commitment. It has taught me to stick with something and go through the ups and downs that would even happen in a family. You know, there could be things not always at the top, but you have to flow with all that happens because you're learning every step of the way. And so it's been a very amazing adventure.
Yeah, when we were checking in shortly before we started the podcast, you were talking about the last 2.5 years with COVID, and what you were expressing was that you were able to really sit back and receive the last wave of life coming through you, because you've been traveling way before COVID. You were traveling quite a bit.
A lot. I traveled a lot all over the world, all over Europe and Asia and US. I was traveling all the time, more than I stayed home. I would go for maybe 2 months, come back for a month, go for 2 months, come back for a month. So it was for like at least 12 to 15 years, that kind of life. Wow. And it was my mission. I felt fantastic going to teach everywhere and bring Damanhur and bring Damanhur's courses, and it was wonderful. So I was not expecting to love being at home and to not miss at all traveling, to the point that I have no desire to go anywhere. I've been here now since March 2020, and it has been an incredible, creative reinvention of myself. So exciting, totally unpredictable and unforeseen. It was unexpected. I came home from traveling, and here I was, and I didn't know. And all of a sudden, I would get ideas. I would get courses that would want to be created, and I will create them. And then I will have an audience to do them online. And then a new course will want to be created. And I was offering another course. And this continued. So I created a course on love. I created a course on co-creating our reality. I created a course on the ties that bind, which is a course on exploring relationships from the past. We explore 4 past lives with one individual of person's choice to see what one can learn for the present. So let's say that there is a difficulty in the present. We may be able to find some connection, some karmic connection from the past that will reveal and possibly dissolve any difficulties in the present. So these courses kept on just popping out of me. And then I think I told you, I just finished a book on the cards that I created many years ago. And if you want, we can talk about the cards for a moment. When I came to Damanhur from the US in 2001, I had been reading for people the tarot deck of Aleister Crowley. And I was very taken by that tarot deck. But when I came to Damanhur, nobody here knew this deck. And the deck that was used here, I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't resonate with. So there I was. I couldn't do my reading because nobody connected with my deck and I couldn't connect with theirs. And so it was a strange moment of feeling kind of lost in that particular arena. And then one morning I wake up with this vision of creating a deck with the symbols that in Damanhur belong to what we call the sacred language, which is a language we believe is an ancestral language of very, very, very ancient times. And we have this language, which is an ideogrammatic language made up of various symbols. We have maybe more than 300 and more symbols that are concepts, that are phrases, that are very powerful ideas. And I knew I had to do a divination deck with it. So I asked the founder of Damanhur if I could do that, because he was the one who brought from the past, from the Astro Library, from the, what is it called? The Akashic Records. Of course, he brought back this ancestral language. So I couldn't do my own thing. It wasn't mine to do. And I asked him if I could use it to create a deck, and he gave me permission. He also gave me permission to use his paintings. He was a very prolific painter. And so I used this painting as background, and then the symbol, the ideogram in the foreground in gold. And then I created the spreads. So I created this deck, and I've been using it all the time. And it's quite popular, especially in Japan. I have many, many fans. And so I do classes where I teach to read this deck. It's a deck called Bral Talei, which is they are words in sacred language, meaning magical signs for divination. And these are magical signs that are now used in this manner for divination, in this beautiful deck of 111 cards. And so because after all these years of me doing readings in person, online, teaching the cards, etc., everybody was asking, is there a book? Well, yes, there is a booklet that comes with the cards and teaches you how to do the spreads. But people wanted a book. Yeah, a small booklet. And so this January, again, I wake up with, I'm going to write this book. And I finished it just a couple of weeks ago. So now it's off to Japan, and it's off to America to be out there and to be published. And
Shama, is this like a workbook, a guidebook?
A guidebook. It's called Bral Talei Guidebook. And in each page, there's a description of the card. So the card, for example, has a symbol for dreaming, where I will spend a whole page of describing the many ways you could interpret that card. You could talk about daydreaming, night dreaming, or fantasizing and imagining and dreaming of a future. Like I will go and expound the understanding and the meaning of the card. And then at the end of this explanation, I would say, if this card comes up for you right side up, you then read it this way. this may mean this and that. If this card comes up right upside down, you may want to take into consideration this, and that. So for each card of 111 plus a wild card, so 112 with the wild card, there is going to be all this explanation. And so it's going to be easy for people when they buy the deck to get deeper into really understanding the many different ways that the card can speak to them, because one concept can be so profound and can tell you so much, and it depends on the day, on your mood, on the situation that you are considering. And so that is
Shama, I want to ask here because the sacred language in these cards, is it like sacred language is sacred language, and
yes.
is it written in Italian?
No.
And
each card has a symbol. Down below, there is the translation of that symbol in English. Above, there is in Italian, in French, in German, and in Spanish. So it's actually a symbol translated in 5 languages.
Okay, now, right there is, I think, because the universe, or, sacred language is sacred,
Right.
and it's being interpreted from the individual's perspective, what's the translation like? What would you tell listeners about the translation there?
You can consider the sacred language just as you consider Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a language that is used to connect with the divine only. People do not speak Sanskrit. They speak to the divine. They do prayers, they do songs. We do the same things with this sacred language. This sacred language that we have, as I told you, is a symbol, is an ideogram, and that ideogram may mean mission of your soul. It may mean God. It may mean, as I said, dreaming. It could mean going forward. It could many things. But this ideogram not only as a translation in your own language to make you understand what it means, it also has a gesture. You can actually dance your prayers. We use it in Damanhur for prayers, and we dance them. In every ritual that we do, we have dancers dancing this sacred language, because each of the concepts is a gesture. And so it's very beautiful. We speak it, but the words are not in the cards. So let's say that the sacred language is an ideogram, which can be translated in your own language, but it has its own sound, as it has its own gesture. So when we do rituals in our temples, or whatever we do, we speak that language and we dance it. So we use it as a sacred language to connect with the divine. It is not written in terms of the sound itself, because the sound cannot be translated in everybody's language. And I'll make you an example. The deck is called Braltalei, and it's written in the way that is written on the deck. Braltalej. So while in Italian we say Braltalei, in English you say Braltalej, which distorts the sound, in order for an American to say Braltalei, they need to write it differently than we write it in Italian. A German would write it differently. In Norway, they will write it differently in order to say the words Braltalei, the way they need to be said. Otherwise, the distortion of the sound makes the language powerless. You know the power of the sound. The sound is powerful. It has to be said right. And so each language would need to translate the sacred language in their own phonetic way of saying that symbol, because otherwise we are not going to understand each other. Because if I say Braltalei and you say Braltalej, we're talking about two different things, and it's erroneous. We cannot,
Is that, Shama? I think that that's a great explanation for people. I also wonder, like, with the movement, with the specific movement that goes along with the card, that is probably true too. That
yes,
the
but
language
that is another way of learning. In Damanhur, we learn the sacred language. We learn it in terms of the way it is written. We learn the symbol. We learn what it means, and we learn the sound. Okay, with my cards, with my deck, you learn the symbol and you learn what it means. You do not learn the sound because of the way I explained. It would not be able to be written for everybody. Then there is the possibility of learning the dance, the sacred dance. That is a choice. In Damanhur, we have about a dozen people who are the sacred dancers. They are the ones who specialize in that particular thing, and they do the rituals. That is their professional specialization. It's very beautiful. The rituals that we do, between the way people say the sound and the way that they dance it, it's very fascinating. So it's like learning a real language. We need about 5 months to learn those number. As I told you, I think we have around close to 400 symbols, and you have to learn the symbol. You have to. It's complex. It's like learning Japanese or Chinese because it's all in ideograms. And,
right. It also reminds me of how it was prophesized around this time forward that it's going to be the Aquarian age. We're at the dawn, the ending, the beginning. And my understanding is that it is going to be through the body that we have an understanding of the divine and of love, empathy, and compassion. Is that
absolutely?
Yeah, is that part of? Okay.
It is for us. The dancers are. That's why we're calling them sacred dancers, because they pray with their body. They pray with their bodies, and it's not only beautiful. It's powerful.
Yeah,
it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It really gives us another way to connect with the divine. And I go back to the Indian, the Sanskrit, how they too dance their prayer. They have their temple dancers. It's very similar, not in the gesture per se, but by the fact that the body is a tool with which we can communicate with higher forces and allow the body to really speak to these higher forces, offering the prayers, just as we offer in words, and then we offer perfumes, incense, we offer all these other things and flowers. The body offers its own wonderful ways to communicate.
Well, that relates to why I wanted to put this podcast together. Part of, to live into something, live into 5D, live into it means that there needs to be an expression of movement.
Absolutely. Energy is movement. You have to move whatever, like your mind moves, your heart moves, your body moves. We need to move with the times and with what life offers us. Just the saying, if life gives you lemon, make lemonade. It's a fantastic saying because it's true. Life always gives you something. And even when things seem limiting, in fact, they're not. They are an opportunity for expansiveness that is that we need to trust and explore with curiosity. I'm going to tell you a story.
Yes, please.
Just to give you an example. So my daughter, who lives in North Carolina, and I've not seen, for close to 3 years, decided to come to visit me in Italy to arrive on April 2nd. And that was very exciting. She will come with her boyfriend, and then they will go, they had a plan to go from the 2nd to the 7th to various cities, come to me on the 7th, stay until the 10th, so 3 days, then he needed to leave. She then was going to go to friends, etc., etc. Okay, so I was very happy to see them for just those 3 days. So they arrive on the 7th, we are together, the 7th evening, 8, 9, and 10. He's supposed to leave on the 11th. But before leaving, we have to get the COVID test. So we go to get the test. And all 3 of us are positive with COVID.
Oh, no.
Yes. And all of a sudden, they have to stay. And all of a sudden, instead of leaving the next day, they're staying 10 days with me. And we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Not only I get to finish my book, my daughter reads it for me because she, of course, is mother tongue English, so she can make sure that I wrote correctly. And so we spend a lot of time together. He is a musician, so he had a guitar, and so he played the guitar. Like, we spent 10 wonderful days together here in my community, being totally served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They will just bring it to us, and we just spent beautiful time together. We have a garden. When I open my doors, there's a garden. So we walked in the garden with, we had a gorgeous, gorgeous time. So then he left, then she stayed a little longer. She left on the 26th, So all of a sudden, that which could have been seen as terrible, it was a gift from synchronicity. It was something to be so grateful for, that I was just feeling so blessed. None of us with symptoms, feeling good, being together, just having the time to connect, to spend with each other after all this time. It was a total gift. So it really is a way to look at things and to, so there were plans to be done. We need to be flexible. God laughs at our plans and gives us what he thinks is best for us. And so we can only be open to receive it and say, thank you, because it's always better than what we thought. I'm always surprised by the blessings, by the synchronicity, by the gifts that are pouring so abundantly.
Yeah, beautiful story. And I love that, right? So you just got to make something out of
It was
a situation, and you're like, it's
yes.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yes. It was a gift. It is beautiful, but life is beautiful. Life is full of this. If we could just trust and be curious enough to explore what happens and see them as opportunities to grow, to expand, to explore something new and different, to allow the new plans, the new information, the new situation to surprise us.
I hear that in your message during this beautiful interview is that you've spoken to that so beautifully and eloquently, Shama. Like it's not how I hear you offering it to us is that you don't go to visualization, you go to seeing what is being given to you.
Yes.
And
I'm trusting, knowing that I'll be surprised and happily surprised. I'm always, so many amazing small things that are beautiful things that are happening all the time. But we need to trust life and be open to receive, trusting that what's coming is the best for us.
Shama, I also want to ask you, because this dovetails into something that I did not know about you. And we haven't really even spoken about it, but I didn't know that Shakti Gawain's right-hand support in the 80s.
Yes, I lived with Shakti from 86 to, for many years. We lived in California together, in Hawaii together. We were best friends. And we were friends from the 70s. We had the same teacher in the 70s. But then, then we were just friends. All of us kind of went in our own directions. She did their books and things. I started working for Francis Coppola. And, we were staying in touch, but as friends. But then at a point in my life, it was, again, another synchronicity. It was, okay. It was a moment in which I decided, okay, I'm leaving. I didn't know where, but I said, I am packing my bags. I'm leaving. I was there packing my bags when the phone rings and it's Shakti on the other line. And she says, hi, how are you? And I said, well, I'm okay. I'm packing my bags. And where are you going? I said, I don't know. Well, come and live with me. Okay. I took a taxi and I went to live with her. So that's the way life for me. And so I started living with her and we did many things together. We traveled to Australia, New Zealand, Europe, the States, doing the courses, voice dialogue. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time living with her, working with her. The focus for those years was a work called voice dialogue, which is very powerful, very beautiful. And she was in love with it and I trained with it. And that's what we offered when we were together.
If you could offer the listeners a little suggestion about visualization.
It can work. I find that it works in the beginning. When a person begins to trust that somehow they create their own reality. In the beginning of learning that you're creating your own reality, you need to start somewhat visualizing and knowing that you have the power to attract to you that which you truly desire, and that if it's really in resonance with you. But it's a tricky thing because you can start becoming very discouraged if you're thinking, like I was doing a session just recently with somebody, and this person was very keen on having this man, just wanted this man. And at some point I said, it's just, you're trying so hard. It's just like you're so focused on it. It's just like there is no room for life to do anything with you because you want what you want, when you want it, how you want it. And she says, but this is the law of attraction. I say, yes, but at a certain point, you just gonna have to let it go. I want this life. I would love this man, if possible. If not, I'd love to have love. And then let life give it to you and choose for you what is best for you instead of being so fixated on what you think is best. That is so limiting. Yes, and you have to then let it go. You can visualize it, you can want it, you can desire it, and then you can give it to life and trust that life will actually bring the essence of your desire more than the specific, that particular man. It can bring you the right man instead of that particular man. So, we have to be a little careful with what we learn, because a little bit of knowledge sometimes isn't as useful. It can give you misunderstandings.
Well, it's that attachment to it too.
Exactly.
The attachment to wanting it that we start grasping. I think our challenge at, going, wanting a desire, and being so
But
attached to
it leads to disappointment, because I wanted it so much, I visualized it so much, but it never came. It leads to disappointment. Then you lose confidence in yourself and in life. And it's only because you got too tight, too focused on that, and you misunderstood the principle of co-creation. It's a co-creation. So let life also create with you. Yes, you can put your desire, your imagination, you can put your expectancy, you can put your visualization in all of this. But then at some point you just say, okay, life, now you know what I want. Bring me what you think is right for me.
Shama, talk to us now about love, because I bet that that's connected to what you're talking about. And I know that that was something you really wanted to speak to. So
yes,
how does
love.
that work with what we're talking about?
It has to do with self-love. See, if I truly loved myself, my reality would reflect it to me, because my reality would be a lovable, loving reality. So when I love myself, I love life and I'm loved by life. So love it starts with self-love, but self-love is often misunderstood and again misdirected. We think that self-love is having a nice hot bath and a chocolate and all of this, and that could be a part of it. It's fine, why not? But actually love is it's a marvelous, magical, mysterious, and super powerful thing that has to do with doing the action of love and the being of love. So when I love in an active way from a being place that is loving. So I have to have both. I have to choose to love that individual, that situation. It's a powerful free will choice, love. I choose to love, and I'm going to act lovingly from a loving space of being loving. I need to have both. I can't just love by going and volunteering and draining my energy because I think that love is giving myself away. And then I kind of resent inside of me all of the time that I've given, and nobody said thank you. I have to be in a loving space, and then I can do loving action. But I do love, first I have to love myself, and I would never want to drain my energy unnecessarily, because I would want my love to be a joy for myself and for others. And so it has to have these two elements of masculine and feminine, of giving and being, and of choice making that comes from the truth within. And love it's a very large, complex things, but love, it has to do with actions. It has to do with caring, with giving, with being responsible for the relationship that I am engaged in, whatever relationship it is. And so I need to respond to this relationship in an appropriate way, not from a victim's place or from a overpowering place. How am I responding? How am I being responsible for this relationship? And most of all, am I respecting this other individual? Am I allowing this individual to be who this person is without manipulating this person to be the way I would like it, without making them feel guilty if they don't do things that I like? Or like, am I respecting this individual so that I truly love who this person is and not attempt to change it to make it fit my own picture? So love is complex because it has a lot of elements that need to be expressed and put out. It's not this cliche abstraction that, love. And it's not like in the movies, and it's not like we have been given as children what passes for love, which could be like a mother saying, I do this because I love you. I sacrifice because I love you. If you loved me, you would do this. All this manipulation. Like love is so distorted. We have such distortions in the definitions of love that it's painful.
What I hear is that it's a reworking of our energy. It's a reworking of our relationship to the divine with the other person and ourselves.
Exactly. It really is. It's recognizing that the person in front of you is an aspect of the divine, and that you are an aspect of the divine. And although there might be even no resonance because you're so different, the divine is expressing itself in all these varied ways. And so that respect needs to be there.
That would be like if we did see it in the way that we just spoke about, like you're speaking about. We would, if that were true, I love thought experiments. Like if that were true, that we would be able to rework our energy and see that the other person is a image or reflection, expression of the divine, and we were attempting to manipulate or it would be us attempting to do that with the Godhead.
Yes, we would be very presumptuous, thinking that we know more than this person. We would be in our judgment saying, I know better. This person needs to be changing this way and that way in order to be right.
Right.
We have no right. Even if the person is making mistakes, it's an expression of the divine who is exploring certain experiences, which could be painful, could be difficult, but they have the right to do it. I don't have a right to judge how they are choosing to experiment in this life, their expression, they do what they do. And I have no right to intrude or think I can save them, or I make their life better, or teach them, or that would be arrogance and presumption.
The other thing that you said that really struck me about the male and female energies was giving and being versus giving and receiving. You said giving and being.
Yes, but giving and receiving comes after. Okay, first I have to be in the male and female energy of being able to give to you from a place of being loving. Then love is a loving action. What I do is a loving action if I am in a loving space. Okay, so that is where I need to be. Then let's say that you are returning to me something. Well, then I have to be in a receiving space. And that receiving space is not an active space. It's like I have to be willing and able to receive your love. And we have huge difficulties in receiving, huge, because of distorted beliefs about undeservabilities. We feel guilty. That's why we think that giving is better than receiving. And so we try to give and give so much, filling ourselves with resentment because we give too much and we don't receive enough, because we are unable to receive, because we are convinced we shouldn't receive, we should be giving, especially as women. So we have very distorted beliefs in regard to love that make it difficult for us to actually feel the love of another person and allow that love to be healing for us and to be filling us. We have great, great, great difficulties in receiving love.
Well, you spoke eloquently and loving and kind about love. I want to ask you a last question. How did
Yes.
the earlier times, how are, I don't really quite see anything as a straight line, right?
Right.
It's more circular to me and interwoven in a lot of different ways. But in your experience, what's been the common thread for you?
Throughout my life?
Well, through your teachings, now that you have made this beautiful card deck, you've been a very, prominent member of Damanhur. You've traveled, you have worked aside of. What feels like it stayed with you the whole time?
Interesting question. What stayed with me? Okay. The commitment to trust life. And I'll explain it this way. I am a Pisces, and Pisces are, love a lot of variety. They go this way and that way. At least for me, it's variety is very exciting. Being in Damanhur for 22 years has been for me an exercise in commitment, of staying, of going deeper and deeper and deeper into trusting that I can go deeper and deeper into things without having to follow my curiosity, my stimulus, the things, here and there. Because the stimulus of here and there comes to me if I am staying in one place. So while for my personality and character will have been very hard to stay 22 years in one container, a spiritual, social container. This has been the thread, finding that I am keeping on choosing to being there, because what interests me, which is stimulating to me, the creativity, etc., comes to me if I stick with it. Am I able to explain it good enough? So that I have both the creativity and the stimulus and the continuity, the depth, the commitment, the trust of day by day staying with a path that I feel can take me someplace. And I don't know where or whatever, it doesn't matter. The journey is the destination. So my journey of day after day, being with what is.
That's so beautiful, Shama. So beautiful. I feel the exuberance and the energy, enthusiasm for you to be present with that. And that by doing that, you benefit from the presence, and it builds deeper trust for you in life and commitment.
Absolutely. Deeper gratitude. I live in gratitude because all is so fabulous, and the blessings are, as I say, pouring.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
It's
you, Vicchi.
really
Thank
a blessed moment to spend with you. I'd like to have you back. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you. Thank you
Namaste.
so much. As they say in Damanhur, Conte, which means I'm with you.